good, thanks.
The webinar is now live.
Oh, fantastic.
So let's see. Oh, the attendees are now coming in. Excellent.
Great.
So we'll give them a minute before we start introductions.
It's moving on me.
All right, so it looks like we have some participants. It is 7:02, so I am going to try to be respectful of everyone's time that has attended and get us started. My name is Karen Spillman. I am the Director of Learning and Staff Development here in Hilton, and I have been working with Liz Thornton. Liz, I'll let you introduce yourself as we start on this venture for Child Safety Matters. Liz?
Hi, I'm Liz Thornton. I'm the Director of Student Services, and I'm also here as a parent of a second grader and a fifth grader who attend school in Spencerport and have been doing the Child Safety Matters curriculum for the last few years. So I have experience from the parent side of it as well.
Thank you. Also from Hilton, we have Kirk Ashton. He is the principal at Northwood Elementary.
Good evening. Welcome, everyone.
I do see Dr. Surash, our assistant superintendent. She's on mute. And there she goes. So I would like to take this opportunity to introduce our host for this evening, Stephanie Schwebka. She is the Community Education Manager at Bavona Child Advocacy Center. And we contracted with Bavona Child Advocacy Center to provide Child Safety Matters, the 2 lessons for students that is part of a requirement from New York State law that is being expected to be implemented this current school year. So Stephanie is going to walk us through what the reasoning behind the law was, and then how Child Safety Matters actually really is more of an umbrella approach to all different kinds of dangers that our kids may face. And one of the things that we did really like about Child Safety Matters was that it was very age specific and age appropriate. And she's going to also get into the differences that we might see our kindergartners versus our older kids. So I'm going to give Stephanie the stage and have her take it away. Oh, I'm sorry, everyone. We're also going to open up the chat for questions when we're done with the presentation. So we'll be accepting questions at that point. All right, Stephanie.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Karen and Liz. I've been working with them since both Liz and Karen since actually the fall. Bavona's been implementing this particular child safety curriculum for the last 3 years. And so we are actually in our 3rd year in the Spencerport School District, which is really exciting. And we've also presented this curriculum in Pittsford, and there are 6 other school districts around Monroe County that have also adopted this curriculum. Karen kind of spoke about ERIN'S law, and that's really what is the driving force behind schools adopting some kind of curriculum. Not every school has adopted Child Safety Matters. Child Safety Matters is evidence-based. It has been researched for appropriateness, grade level, age level. That makes us at Bavona feel really good. I know that makes the district feel really, really good that it has been evaluated by child development specialists and even child abuse researchers and scientists. as far as, is it effective? Is it doing what it needs to be doing? And is it doing it in a way that is empowering to kids? That's the most important piece of it, is that kids learn and they feel super empowered by it. So my goal tonight is to explain the curriculum to you. I'm sure there's a lot of questions about what it is and what it isn't. So I'm going to cover that. And I'm going to tell you, we're going to start a little bit with some statistics. Sort of this is that driving force, behind why we need to be educating kids. We've been educating adults for a long time about when it comes to things like child safety and especially when it comes to maybe like child abuse and physical abuse and things like that. How do we prevent it? But it's also equally important that we empower kids to understand how they can keep themselves safe, but how to utilize safe adults and what is a safe adult and how to find and utilize a safe adult to report if something is happening to them that adults in their families, adults in the schools just can't see outwardly and know what's going on. This all really started, I want to kind of go into ERIN'S law. This all started, a woman named Erin. She's a survivor. She actually had two offenders of child sexual abuse growing up. And she knows for a fact that had she had some kind of education, just to even teach her how to tell us, what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, how to notice if somebody, even if it's an older kid or an adult, is behaving in a way that's inappropriately or trying to trick her into doing things. She really had no idea because there was no adult in her life, telling her these things and teaching her these things. And she could have thwarted it very easily, her second offender, or at the very least been able to report that was happening to her, had that been the case. So she's gone around the country, and New York was actually the 37th state to adopt ERIN'S law. Now, what you see on your screen right now is in the blue shaded box is the actual New York State law. It's section 803B of New York State education law. So this is a mandate for all schools in New York State to cover. The law in and of itself was, a little bit vague. And so what the New York State Department of Education did was they broke it down into learning objectives per grade level. I haven't written down New York State's per grade level because that would be about 10 slides. You are welcome. The website where all of those objectives are located is right there at the bottom of this slide. So you can go there and you can look. This curriculum in particular does cover every single objective that New York State is asking that we cover. And it's all around this mandate and this law. So really sort of briefly and in essence, it's requiring schools to teach personal body safety. This is not sex ed in any way, shape, or form. Not at all. This is personal body safety when it comes to boundaries and empowering kids that, their body is theirs, and what's a comfortable hug from people for one kid isn't a comfortable hug, for another kid, because kids have all different experiences and we all have different levels of what we're comfortable with around people too. And it's good that we teach kids too that, their body's theirs and that they're empowered to be able to differentiate, what are comfortable boundaries for them. We teach them too how to recognize if maybe there is somebody in their life that's trying to trick them and manipulate them to cross the boundaries that they aren't comfortable with, or even that you as parents wouldn't be comfortable with. Educating students on the differences between safe and unsafe touches, safe and unsafe secrets, and how to identify tricks and manipulation. In the adult world, we call all of that grooming. Okay, so we don't tell kids that this is called grooming. We don't even say the word grooming, but that's what this is. And it's done in a child-friendly, trauma-informed way that empowers kids. We call them red flags. We don't call it grooming, but that's what it is intended to do. It is intended to make kids aware, and is intended to, because a lot of kids just don't know and can't recognize some of those grooming behaviors that we see. identify safe adults and how to report. So how to identify safe adults that they can report to and how to do that. And that's all wrapped up into 5 safety rules that we're teaching kids. And I'll get into those 5 safety rules in just a little bit. We also fold in digital safety. It just makes sense. This is a training about all kinds of safety. We talk about internet safety. We talk about bullying. We talk about cyberbullying. It's all relatable and it's all packaged up very nice and neat so that the safety rules and the other tools that the kids are learning can be applied to all different types of potentially unsafe situations or situations that make them feel uncomfortable. One of the biggest messages that we need to send that's important to send is that if something does happen to a child, it is never, ever, ever their fault. Working at Bavona, this was an important piece for me. Seeing kids that come to the center, and one of the really underlying issues that kids face, really honestly, is this sense of shame and that it was their fault and guilt. And so it's really important to us in particular that this curriculum addresses, telling kids like something ever happens to you, it's not your fault. If you were tricked into something, it's not your fault and it's never too late to tell. And then finally, how to recognize healthy, this is more for 6th grade, not in the K through 5 grades, but how to recognize healthy and unhealthy relationships. And understand that, things can happen in any kind of relationship, whether it's parental, whether it's teacher, whether it's coach, whether it's church, whether it's babysitting relationship, whether it's friends, peers, brothers, sisters, in any kind of relationship, things can potentially happen, and we need to make sure kids understand that. So those are the objectives. Those are just some of the objectives from the New York State Department of Education, and it's all under the umbrella of the ERIN'S law. So I long-winded with that, but I always like to really make sure I cover that pretty a lot, just so that parents understand sort of why is this happening. The biggest thing too, and why we're doing this training, is we want you guys to be educated. Transparency, so important. And I will be as transparent as humanly possible. So please ask any questions that you may have. And we want parents to be educated about the topics covered, because we want you guys to reinforce, if you're comfortable with that, reinforce the lessons. There are reinforcement, there's letters that go home after each lesson. Your children will come home with a letter and it'll talk about everything that was taught to them in that lesson that day. And then there's an activity on the other side of the sheet. We hope that parents will take that opportunity to really have those conversations, continue really those conversations with their kids at home. So the most important piece, which is sort of the crux, the anchor of every single lesson of these lessons, are what we call our 5 safety rules. Now, there's a banner that will be hanging up in the buildings. And so that the kids are reminded as they're walking by of what all the 5 safety rules are. And some of the classrooms might end up also having a 5 safety rules poster. So hopefully the 5 safety rules are continuously being reinforced and reminded by the students, by your children. I'm going to go into actually these 5 safety rules, so you kind of know what we're teaching them and what they mean. So the first safety rule is know what's up. Now, when you're looking at the screen on the left-hand side, it says CSM. That is Child Safety Matters. That is kindergarten through 5th grade. On the right side of the slide, it says TSM. That is 6th grade. So the way the curriculum is structured is there's the elementary level curriculum, which is K through 5. And then they have what's called Teen Safety Matters middle school curriculum, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And the lessons are absolute. Every single lesson actually is grade specific. So the know what's up safety rule for Child Safety Matters is pretty basic. It's, they know what's up. They know how to, they know sort of to look around in their environment. They know their personal information. They know how to get help in an emergency, and just really general safety information. It's a good way to kick off each of our Child Safety Matters lessons, is kind of talking about some of the things and the rules that kids probably already so that they kind of get the gist of what we're doing, and we can fold in these additional safety rules and lessons to what is really already that baseline that you as parents have given them. In the teen section, so in the 6th grade curriculum, we go a little bit further in sort of understanding how to make positive decisions, understanding, knowing what's up when you're using an app, knowing what's up when you're on the internet. So it gets a little bit more abstract as kids are getting older and using devices a little bit more. All right. So safety rule number 2 is spotting red flags. This one's a huge one. We use it all the way. The safety rule number 2 is always talked about. We're always saying, so this would be a red flag. We do scenarios with kids and say, can you spot the red flag in this scenario based upon what we taught you? So this is a really, really important safety rule. And it's just using their awareness to determine if someone's behavior, maybe a social interaction, something that they're seeing, like cyberbullying or something like that, whether it's safe or whether it's unsafe, and if it's appropriate or if it's inappropriate. These are situations that could be potentially dangerous. It could be abusive behavior. I'll get into what we teach in the language that we use about abusive behavior here in just a little bit, don't worry. And so they can use the rest of their safety rules to help keep them safe. So we give them examples in each lesson about, sorry, my slides are on like an animation thing and they keep moving on their own. Like bullying, what is a red flag of bullying? What are red flags of cyberbullying? Red flags of a potential online predator? Red flags of maybe some behaviors that their peers are engaging in? And how do you handle that? How do you report that? What are some red flags as far as someone trying to trick them into something or forcing them into something? And then, of course, for 6th grade, we talk a little more about the healthy and unhealthy relationship red flags, which would be, kind of controlling behaviors, trying to get, a child not to hang out with their friends anymore, any kind of physical, inappropriate physical, like pushing, shoving, things like that. Safety rule number 3 is just that safety rule that says if you spot a red flag, you got to make a move. And a lot of times it's, make a move towards safety, is make a move away and toward a safe adult, whatever kind of move you can make at that point, depending upon the situation. So it's make a move, and it's just really get away and stay away, and going right to safety rule number 4, which is talking it up. And this is another one we really hone in on. We really hone in on and spend a lot of time on safety rule number 2 and safety rule number 4, which is talking it up. Now in Child Safety Matters, we teach them about their assertive voices. So they get to use nice loud voices, and they have a really good time in the lessons doing that. Most of the time they have to be pretty quiet in school. So Liz, you're smiling. So I bet your 2nd grader loved this part of it. And we tell them, like, it doesn't mean you have to scream, but it means, you use your strong voice, use your strong assertive voice to say, to say no, to say, no, I don't like that, or no, I'm uncomfortable with that, or no, I'm not supposed to be doing that, or no, that's not okay. Things like that. For some kids, that's an easy thing to do. For some kids, it isn't easy to use their assertive voice. So we practice it. We hope that kids can really be empowered by that safety rule, but we teach them other ways to talk it up versus just saying no, because we know that's not realistic for every student, every child. So we teach them, we have a whole piece on what a safe adult is, and we teach them what a safe adult is, and we teach them you can make a move and go right to your safe adult. Go right to a safe adult that you've identified, and we do an activity with the kids. We call them safe adult bookmarks, and we really encourage kids in that activity to identify a safe adult at home and a safe adult at school. Those are the 2 places that they are the most. They're at home and they're at school. So we want them to have a safe adult at both places. And so they can go right up to a safe adult and say, and we tell kids too, we're like, even if you're not sure, even if you're a little confused about a situation, is it safe, is it not safe? I don't know, but I got a weird feeling in my stomach, so maybe I should talk it up to my safe adult. Vet it out with your safe adult, and your safe adult can help you with that situation. And then we also, when we're utilizing and talking about the talk it up, when we're talking about bullying and cyberbullying, it folds into saying, be an upstander, and being an upstander is talking it up, either talking it up, for someone being bullied, or talking it up if you are in fact being bullied yourself. Now in teen safety matters, it's pretty much the same. It's using that assertive voice, it's talking it up, having safe adults, and it's just recognizing, sort of that personal boundary violations. We know that adolescents, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, oftentimes that's that age that oftentimes they might tell a friend before they tell an adult. So we talk about that, and we get that you might be more comfortable in talking to a friend first about what's going on. You might be nervous to tell your parent or somebody, and we understand that. But your safety friends should never take the place of your safe adult. Maybe utilize your safety friend to help you talk to your safe adult. So we're really encouraging, like, we're realistic with the kids and saying, we know you're going to talk to a friend oftentimes first, but this is the safest way to utilize that safety friend, and have your safety friend either go with you to talk to your safe adult, or maybe you're feeling nervous about your safe adult, and maybe your safety friend has a safe adult that they'll go with you and talk to. But at the bottom line is always find that safe adult to talk to. And finally, the 5th safety rule is the no blame, no shame. And I covered this a little bit before. If they're ever hurt, if they're bullied, if something happens to them, it's not their fault, and there is no shame. So we do the no blame, no shame. Now, each of these safety rules for the child safety matters, so for K through 5, there's actually motions that go with them. So the kids get to stand up, and they get to do all these fun motions with the different safety rules. We know in 6th grade, they think that that's a little too young for them. So we don't necessarily do the motions with 6th grade. But we do with the young kids, and doing those motions, especially for young kids, it helps them remember the safety rules. So what are we teaching when we say what's a safe adult? One of the statistics, and I kind of flew through that slide, but one of the statistics that was on the slide, and it's a very important statistic that I always give when I'm doing presentations about Bavona, is that 90% of the time, 90% of the time, kids, especially that are like online exploited or are sexually abused in some way, it is done by someone that kids know, love, and trust. The whole kind of grooming process is a way for adults that have ill intentions for kids, that want to hurt kids and exploit kids. Getting their trust is sort of that first step. And so instead of utilizing the terminology of find a trusted adult, sometimes kids trusted an adult that they think they should trust or have trusted. There's a lot of kids that have a lot of blind trust. So for some kids, if you tell them to find a trusted adult, it becomes a little cloudy for them. So we talk about a safe adult, and we define what a safe adult is. And it's really simple. A safe adult is someone they can go to if they've been hurt or they feel unsafe, someone they're comfortable talking to. I always tell kids, well, number one, your safe adult has to be an adult. That's why it's called a safe adult. So it has to be someone that's 18 or older. And then because, adults have more resources to help kids stay safe, bottom line. And then I always tell kids too, your safe adult is going to be an adult that doesn't break the safety rules, that, isn't going to break boundaries, that is going to allow you to say, no, I'm not comfortable giving a hug today, kind of thing. So we define that as, we define the safe adults for kids, and then we really just encourage them to find those safe adults at home and at school. All right, so I'm going to break down the curriculum for you guys. This is the Child Safety Matters curriculum. It is 2 lessons. And this is kindergarten through 5th grade. It's really basic in the bullet points, but so let me preface by saying this. What we teach in kindergarten, very baseline is similar, but content is between kindergarten and 5th grade in particular is drastically different because there's an age difference. And so the lesson is a little longer in 5th grade than it is for kindergarten. And it's not just because of attention span, it's because content. It's very vanilla and watered down in kindergarten as compared to 5th grade, where they can appreciate and understand a little bit more abstract concepts a little better. So I always really talk about these lessons as kind of like math. As you go year by year by year, you're building. That's what these lessons are kind of like. You get the lesson, and then in 1st grade, they get the lesson again. And then there's just, it's similar to what they received in kindergarten, but there's some new information because they're in 1st grade now. Same with 2nd, same with 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And it's been really fun in Spencerport because we love our repeat kids, and they're like, oh yeah, I remember why you're here. You're here to do the lessons. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to show you. I remember my safety rules. Like kids really and truly enjoy these lessons. They really do. They are implemented and phrased in such a way that I promise you this content is not scary to them. So what we do in lesson 1 is general safety and prevention. That's that whole, you probably already have safe rules, right? Do you know what it means to be safe? You have rules to keep you safe, right? Yes, I wear my helmet when I ride my bike. Fantastic. What other rules do you have? We introduce these lessons and we just kind of keep adding to the topic matter. So we start talking about general safety and prevention because that's important too. And this is basically for kids, additional tools for their general safety and prevention, their own personal little toolboxes. We talk about types of abuse. Now, there's a very important distinction between when the language that we use and how we teach types of abuse between K through 2nd grade and 3rd through 5th grade. In K through 2nd grade, when we talk about what abuse is, we define for them what abuse is, and it's very simple. We tell them it's when someone hurts another person on purpose, because that is what it is. It's when someone hurts another person on purpose, right? So, and they'll go, oh, okay. And we're like, it's a little word. It's got a big meaning, but it's but it's not a word we should be, scared to say. It's when somebody hurts another person on purpose. And in K through 2nd grade, we only teach them abuse with words and abuse to your body. That's the phrasing. We don't talk about neglect and emotional abuse. We don't use that terminology in K through 2nd grade. It's too heavy for those grades and for that age group. So we talk about, abuse with words, and we're like, have you ever had your feelings hurt? Those kinds of kids are like, yeah, I've had my feelings hurt. Okay. And so that's, really how we're explaining. What we are explaining to them is if somebody's sort of emotionally abusing them, but we don't say the word emotional abuse. It's abuse with words. Same thing with abuse to your body. So abuse to your body is, if someone's hitting you or kicking you or whatever, if somebody's, making you feel uncomfortable, saying things to you that might be, make you feel weird or uncomfortable, those kinds of things. But that is the extent that we go to when we're talking about abuse. We talk about who harms kids and how. That kind of blends into the types of abuse, but the who harms kids is, we talk about stranger danger, right? So we were like, because kids are always very proud of the fact that they've got their stranger danger rules down pat. Parents, you've done an amazing job. They are always like ready to tell me about all their stranger danger rules, and they are good. And so we talk about that. Like, well, how do you're told not to talk to strangers because you don't know if they're safe or unsafe, and so then we talk about, well, sometimes people that we know might hurt us too. And so that's just an important thing that they need to understand, that it's not just strangers that could potentially make them feel unsafe or hurt them. And then of course we go over the safety rules and safe adults and what safe adults are and do that activity. In lesson 2, we just build upon what we've already taught them. We reiterate what those safety rules are, and then we talk to kids about how to use those safety rules to keep them safe when it comes to bullying and cyberbullying. What is bullying? What isn't bullying? I like to talk to kids about the difference between bullying and drama. So we talk about that. And we talk about what cyberbullying is. We talk about digital abuse and safety, how to be safe online, how to recognize a red flag if someone's trying to trick them into maybe giving information out or tricking them and trying to be a friend with them. And one of the really important aspects that we cover is, I tell kids, in lesson 1, we talked about strangers, right? And I'm like, yep, you guys were great. You have your stranger rules down pat. What about if it's somebody that you've never seen their face before, you've never met them before, but they're super nice online and they start talking to you? Are they a stranger? And then the kids are like, well, no, they're my friend now. And I'm like, okay, wait. So it's really important that we dovetail that the strangers online to the previous lesson, talking about strangers. So we talk about that. We talk about peers, that peers may cyberbully and predators, and then being a good digital citizen, like how to be safe online, but also how to be a good digital citizen. By the time we get to 5th grade, that good digital citizenship, we start talking about their digital reputation, because they're going to be going to middle school, and it's a whole different ballgame when they go to middle school. So we talk about that digital citizenship and their digital reputation and why that's important. All right, so that is K through 5th grade, okay? Well, now it doesn't want to. Okay, here we go. Okay, this is what we cover in lesson 1 and lesson 2 in 6th grade. So in 6th grade, we flip the switch a little. So if you notice in K through 5th, we start with regular safety and then we go to digital safety. Well, we know middle schoolers and high schoolers too, they're all about their devices and being online and all that good stuff. So we want to catch their attention from the minute go. So we start with digital safety in the middle school with the 6th grade level. So we introduce them to the safe adults, their safety rules, we teach them those things. And then we start talking about, cyberbullying, the difference between cyberbullying and then like digital drama, and how digital drama can be harmful and turn into cyberbullying and ruin relationships and all that good stuff. And then we talk about digital abuse and safety. So like that their peers can be unsafe online, being safe online, online predators, how to recognize any kind of tricks, manipulation, how to be safe using different apps, things like that. And then we go a little more than what we did in K through 5th grade as far as that digital citizenship. It's that, respect for yourself, think before you post, respect for yourself, respect for others. Your digital reputation is kind of forever. We really hone in on anything you post is public and it's permanent. I know, as in 6th grade, you're not thinking about your job that you're going to try to get when you're 25 years old, but, things can crop back up. And so we really hone in on that piece of it with them. And then in lesson 2, it's all about their physical safety and then their emotional safety as well. So we talk about, this is where we get into the types of abuse. And we do define the types of abuse for them. What is emotional abuse? What is physical abuse? What is neglect? And what is sexual abuse? We also define it in 3rd through 5th grade. Very, very basic. I'm sure people are going to have questions. And what do you say about how you define what sexual abuse is? And, we keep it pretty vanilla as we can, but it's just basically, if an older kid or another kid or even an adult, tries to trick you or even force you to, to show them your private body parts or to take pictures of your private body parts or to even like ask you questions and just make you feel really uncomfortable when it comes to your private body parts, that's a red flag. That's what we say in K through 5. That's a red flag. So for these 6th graders though, they understand by this time, they know what sexting is. They use the term sexting, they know what sexting is. And so we dovetail those two, topics together and what is sexual abuse. And when it comes to your private body parts, all we say is your private body parts are the parts of the body covered by swimsuit. Boom. That's it. And we move on. We don't harp on it. And kids know and they understand and they're like, oh, okay, cool. We talk about bullying, empathy, and being an upstander versus a bystander. This is kindness. This is all that. And then we roll right into relationships. And we talk about, relationships are great. And you're in 6th grade and you're starting to form relationships. Even maybe some of your friendships are changing. And some kids might be going out or dating. And so, it's a great opportunity before kids get too immersed into relationships to help them understand what's a healthy relationship versus what's an unhealthy relationship. And then we do in 6th grade introduce the concept of what trafficking is. And the reason for that statistically is that the average age that a child is attempted to be recruited is 12. And that might be very shocking to a lot of people, but that is the reality. And it is actually age appropriate. And we don't get into any crazy, scary stories or details or anything like that. We just need kids to understand what it might look like, because it is definitely a manipulation tactic. And sexting and things that we kind of already talked about, and that with that healthy versus the unhealthy relationships, that's something to look for when it comes to one piece of it. It's not a long segment, but it's definitely introduced to kids so they can understand what the concept is, but we don't go super deep into it. All right. That's the wrong direction. Okay, so this is just to give you guys kind of an idea. We utilize, it's a lot of like, it's not just all lecture. So we kind of talk to kids. There's a lot of back and forth that we try to do with the kids. They get to see some videos of different things to reiterate some concepts. We try to do as many activities as we can, especially with the fifth and sixth graders in particular. We do some activities, you know, with them. A lot of it is like scenarios. So we'll read scenarios to them and say, can you pick out the red flags? Why did you pick that as a red flag? Is this kid safe or unsafe? What would you do in this scenario? How can this child be safer? How can they use their safety rules to be safer? So it's reiterating those concepts. And then sometimes we try to play a game where we're doing like review questions instead of just doing a boring overview question. We try to make a game out of it. And the fifth graders, like the fourth and fifth graders, like the tic-tac-toe that we do. And then with the third graders, love the Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? And then they like get to brag when they walk down the hall, when I tell them they were smarter than the fifth graders, and then they get to brag and point at the fifth graders and say, we're smarter than you. So they love it. And it's just a really great way to reinforce the concepts for the kids. And they do an amazing job with it. All right. And this is just some slides to show you, like when we are doing reviews, sometimes we kind of do a bit of information and then we'll stop and we'll do a short review just to make sure everybody's like really staying with us. And so we do fun things when we're doing that, like give me a thumbs up, give me a thumbs down. We do that on Zoom for our virtual classes. And then kids in the classrooms get to stand up and do touchdowns and squat downs and things. Helps keep them moving. This is a video, but I don't know if you can hear it. Can you hear it?
I haven't seen you in 5 minutes. It feels like a lifetime. What have you been doing without me for 5 whole minutes? It's been 3 minutes.
It's not playing right. Hold on a second. Let me try one more time. It didn't play correctly. This is a very quick video that we show in 6th grade for healthy and unhealthy
I haven't
relationships.
seen you in a couple days. I've missed you.
I've missed you too.
I haven't seen you in 5 minutes. It feels like a lifetime. What have you been doing without me for 5 whole minutes?
It's been 3 minutes.
So, because we talk about the concept of is someone being super controlling and super jealous and things like that. So that's just to give you guys an example of what the videos are like. All very appropriate. No crazy documentary clips or CNN news clips or anything like that. These are the reinforcements. These are the things that we do. Some of these are the letters that go home to you. So on the left-hand side of the screen is Child Safety Matters. Hopefully you can see it. It says the I Choose You. That's that Safe Adult bookmark I talked about. And the activity at the bottom of the screen, there's a banner. That's what the banner looks like. That's going to get hung up in the school. And then you'll see that there's a parent letter. I know you can't read it on the screen, but you'll read it when you get your parent letter at home. It's the parent letter. It literally talks about everything. It's very transparent about what was in the lesson. And then there is an activity, an optional activity on the back that you can do with your child, or your child can do it and then show you that they did the activity, whatever you're comfortable with. In Teen Safety Matters, they actually get lesson notes during the lesson, and they're instructed to kind of like, okay, make a note of this or write this piece down. So, so they get those, and then there's a home learning web quest. It's optional, so it may come home with your child, it may not, it just depends. And then they get like a Teen Safety Matters help hotline kind of little pocket guide thing. So they get that. And of course, there's letters. I didn't include the letters on that side of the screen, but there are letters for the 6th grade students as well. All right, so as for parents, I think the Monique Burr Foundation is just a really great, they're a nonprofit organization. They're not making money off of this curriculum. And the wonderful thing about that is it's so important. It's important to us, but it's important, to Monique Burr when they were writing this curriculum, that parents are as involved as possible, that they have a ton of free resources on their website. Please go to their website, dig around. They even have some small trainings. If you're looking for some more trainings, whatever you want, it is all on their website. All right. Just my final closing thought, and then I'll take questions, is that, we recognize that the topics, they're serious, but they're so important. And they truly are taught and done in a way that is engaging and fun. They are absolutely developmentally appropriate. And the most important thing is they're empowering. And Liz, if you want to give a testimonial, feel free, you can, because I know you're a parent. You've experienced this for several years now. And I want to thank you, parents. I want to thank you for being on the call, because you made a choice to be on this call and take your time. That tells me you're totally vested and interested in your kids' learning and in your kids' safety. And working at Bavona, we see a lot of hard cases. And so this just is great to have this many parents on the webinar and really vested in your kids' safety. So I want to thank you for that. And I'm done with that piece of it. So,
Karen, you're muted.
Sorry. Thank you so much, Stephanie. I did open up the chat. So anyone that has any specific questions, you can certainly type them. You should be able to type them in right now. And we would be happy to address them.
I would like to say something really quickly. I've been a principal for a very long time. And I have been blessed to have worked with Bavona over many years. My former career was in mental health, and have worked with that organization for a long time. And you're good people, Stephanie. And I've dealt with some difficult cases over the years, and I know that my elementary principals that work in Hilton are on this call and have probably done the same, but have always approached things in like a really developmentally appropriate, trauma-informed way. If you trust us as principals, know that we trust this process and that we will do the best to support your kids through this. And we're blessed to be having a partnership with an organization like yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Kurt. The question actually has to do with that. Bavona teachers teach, the Bavona teaches the lessons, or do Hilton staff? So for when we started looking at this, we really jumped on the opportunity to have Bavona teach this. However, the classroom teachers will be with the students at the same time, not only because they might turn into that safe adult. It's really important for all of our teachers to know this content. We're having a staff meeting with all of the at all of the elementary schools to discuss this with them and to tell them more about the program. And then they're going to experience it alongside with your child over, for the next several years. So yes, we have chosen to have Bavona teach the lesson for at least, for certainly for this year and for next year as well. So
great.
our next one is this being taught at elementary level, or will it also be used at Merton Williams? So here it's a little different, because Merton Williams, actually they have health class. And they have other different classes that are built. And they have units that this can be embedded in. So they have, for example, in 7th grade, health units that have to do maybe with decision making. So what we chose to do there were the teachers were trained in ERIN'S law and this program, and they take those pieces and embed it where they feel it's appropriate with their current health curriculum, which covers this I would say I think most of it to begin with. So so again, at Merton, it's the health teachers that teach it, and at the elementary level, it is the Bavona staff that teaches it.
So I want to chime in really quick. Just so you know, I trained. So I trained the health teachers that are going to be implementing in the middle school. So it's not necessarily Bavona staff that's presenting it, but but I train them and I stay with them and consult with them and answer a lot of questions. So I'm still, Bavona's still kind of like along for the ride, even though we're not the ones physically in those grade levels doing it. Your trainer is going to be, her name is Amyris Hood. She was, her intention was to be on this call. Unfortunately, she had a death in the family. So she's with her family right now. So your children will come home and they will tell you that their instructor was named Miss Tippy. And that is what she calls herself. It's been her nickname since she was a child. So you're like, wait, I thought they said it was somebody from Bavona named Amyris or a different name. And so don't be taken off guard or think that it really wasn't somebody from Bavona or the right person doing your lessons. She just has a fun little nickname and the kids love it. She's very engaging.
I'll second that. My kids come home and are so excited. And did Miss Tippy come to your classroom today? She came to my classroom today, and she has a special call signal that she'll do for each school. So they'll say, "Oh, when we see her in Wegmans, this is what we have to say," so that she knows what school we go to. And they really have loved working with her.
She's very, very fun. She her whole career has been working with kids and doing social emotional learning with kids. So this is just her, to her, this is kind of like her job is her fun, which is great. It's a great thing to have. So I have no fear, your students will adore her.
So the next question is, there are 2 lessons a year. How long is each lesson?
It depends on the grade level. At kindergarten, the lesson is about 30 minutes. By the time you are in 5th grade, it's about 55 minutes, and the same for in the middle school level. It's about 45, 50 minutes.
We have a question. Does this cover self-harm, and at what level is that introduced?
Self-harm is a separate topic. There is a special vignette on mental health that it's optional for facilitators to implement. It's just, we're starting with the ERIN'S law mandate right now. So self-harm is not included, but there, like I said, there is a middle school mental health curriculum that can be, and I'm not sure, this is probably a Hilton question anyway to answer as far as what grade levels you're possibly covering this topic anyway.
And please know that if you have any concerns about students with self-harm issues, to contact your building principal or the counseling staff in your building, because we can help with that.
Yeah, as far as self-harm being a topic in the curriculum, I would have to go back to our different 712 health curriculum and check that. I don't know that just from memory. And I can jot down your name and get back to you on that.
These are great questions.
Do we have any other questions from the audience?
Karen, I just want to say I did attend, can you hear me?
Yep, thanks.
Okay, I did attend the lesson at Merton Williams, and it was really very well done. And it was age appropriate, and the students were participating, and it was on like a Friday, I think, in the last period of the day. So they were really engaged. And so it's nice to see the continuum for the elementary, and it lends itself really well into that. With respect to self-harm, I am almost 100% positive. I know that they discussed that in at the high school level in the health condition, in the health class. And I'm pretty sure that that is a big topic that they would be discussing at the middle school. However, that is also something they talked about, if you see any of your friends doing something like that, go to your safe adults so that you could be able to help your friend with that.
Thank you. All right, I am not seeing any other questions at this point. So I am going to thank everyone for coming. Again, parents, we really appreciate you coming. If you have any further questions or concerns, you can reach out to your building principal and they can work with me to address them. If you have any, let's see. Oh, and I'm going to be posting this recording as well as the presentation onto the website. So if you know anyone that didn't get a chance to come tonight, this will be posted tomorrow. Our Grace Sism, our communications director, will be taking care of that in terms of on the district website. So this will be, everyone can have access to this, even if they weren't able to do this tonight. So I would like to thank you again. If I don't see any more questions, so I'm going to end our webinar. Thank you again. Thank you, Stephanie.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, we're still here. All right, I'm going to end the meeting. Thank you.